It's interesting, Omar, because I interviewed Ahmadinejad when he was president of Iran in New York for CNN, and I pressed him on exactly that point about him reportedly saying he wanted to wipe Israel off the face of the map. And he said to me what he meant by that, and I think Ishai touched on it, was he talked specifically about wanting to get rid of the Zionist regime. He said he wasn't talking about the whole of Israel. People didn't really believe him, but that was certainly the clarification he put to me. There's a sense, I think, from the people who are more sympathetic to Iran that they have been singled out here as the really bad people in the Middle East and therefore must get particularly rough treatment. What is your view of the validity of what Israel is doing here?
To set the scene for it, Piers, let me just quickly put two countries up on the board, Iran and Israel, and just go through a very quick list. Which country has nuclear weapons and refuses to allow international inspectors to look at their nuclear program? Israel. Which country is expanding its territory by illegally occupying neighbors in Palestine, Lebanon, Syria? Israel. Which country's leaders are wanted by the International Criminal Court? Israel. Which country is currently committing genocide by starving and killing tens of thousands of children? Israel. And look at who started this war between Israel and Iran. Israel did. So to look at this entire list and to try to concoct some mechanism by which you're claiming that Israel is defending itself by doing all this, has the entire world lost its mind?
But there's one thing you're missing out. But Omar, hang on. You're missing out a pretty key component of all this, which is who has been funding, both financially and with weaponry, the Houthis, Hamas, Hezbollah, for many, many years, all of which have then used those weapons to attack Israel. And that's key. That's the key argument Israel puts up is that Iran has been the octopus, if you like, with all these tentacles to terror all over the region, all of them wedded to the same philosophy of getting rid of Israel.
A country that is minding its own business and being peaceful and reasonable can take legitimate issue with whether other countries are fighting militant groups that don't like them. Then you have a grievance. But when you are a country that is founded at the expense of another people by destroying Palestinian society, driving out hundreds of thousands of Palestinians out of their homes and destroying hundreds of Palestinian towns and villages, and it's not good enough for you, you're still engaging in this war of conquest, illegally expanding settlements in the West Bank, occupying and obliterating Gaza for the past several months, to say nothing of everything they've done before. You are not in a defensive posture. You are an occupying power. And yes, Iran is trying to expand its region and its influence in the region by arming groups that are fighting against Israel because they know that the entire region is infuriated with the way Israel is behaving. It is behaving like a country that is above the rules and above the law. They get to do whatever they want. And just to simplify this on a personal level, Piers, you accept that your government has weapons that you personally are not allowed to have because the relationship between you and your government is one in which they rule and you are a subject, in a sense. And Israel is insisting on that dynamic with the region. They get to have nuclear weapons. They get to do whatever they want. But if Iran ever builds a peaceful nuclear program that they might one day think they might turn into a military program of some sort, then Israel has the right to preemptively go and invade. Israel's telling the region, we rule you, we own you, we make the rules. And people in the region don't like it and are resisting.
But do you view any of the activities of Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis as terrorism, or do you view it all as resistance?
International law is very, very clear that you can only target militants, you can't target civilians. So yes, these groups have engaged in legitimate resistance when they've attacked the Israeli military, and they've also engaged in war crimes or acts of terrorism when they've attacked civilians.
Right. So do you accept that Iran has been supplying them all three groups with both financial support and weaponry?
You can't look at that in isolation. Yes, of course, they've been supplying them with weaponry.
So then but Omar, then I put it to you that you're putting a very one-sided framing of all this, because the reality is, by your own admission, Iran has been supplying, endorsing, helping, supporting three different terror groups who commit regular acts of terrorism. Some of it yes, you might talk away as resistance, but you've conceded a lot of it is just terrorism. So if you're Israel and you've got these three groups all using acts of terrorism against you, why the hell shouldn't you do something to defend yourself?
if I'm Israel and I want to defend itself, I would stop engaging in the mass terrorism that the Israeli government is engaged in. You stop behaving like the biggest terrorist organization in the neighborhood, and then you are in a position to defend yourself. The problem is that Israel, once again, is not in a defensive posture. You can't claim to have an objection to terrorism when you yourself are engaging in the largest terrorism in the entire region. And to have, again, every single day for the past several days, for the past, what, a year and a half now, closing in on 2 years, every day there is a massacre of civilians and children who are being starved in Gaza, who are only looking for food. That's a country that wants to defend itself from terrorism. The entire thing is absurd. And the idea that there's any religious basis, that anybody's, whatever, people are free to believe whatever they want to believe, but there's elementary morality at the heart of every faith. And any faith that suggests that Israel gets to do what it's doing and invoking that maybe Israel should nuke Iran or whatever else, these are moral monsters and religious lunatics. Those are the only people who can support what Israel is currently doing and encouraging even more escalation.